Banaza is a traveling merchant in a world where magic and demi-humans exist, but remarkably, he is not racist. He believes in actually paying demi-humans for their work, which I guess most people find annoying when they should really be minding their own business. It would be great if people didn't discriminate against demi-humans and would just live in peace with them, but that would mean giving up all that free labor, so Banaza is the only one who supports them. By complete chance, Banaza seems to have been summoned to another world to become their hero, but as he appears in the summoning circle, he is totally confused by what's going on around him. He is informed that he was summoned by the kingdom of Exiled to help them in the battle against the Dark Army since he is a hero candidate, but Banaza corrects them by saying he is not worthy of the title of hero. He thinks there may have been some kind of mistake, but the people around him ignore everything he says and call for a magic orb to be brought up onto the circle by one of the maids. They tell Banaza that the orb will analyze his abilities, and when a hero candidate is summoned, in exchange for having their level reset to 1, the hero candidate is usually given a divine revelation. This is an ability that gives 1 strength that wouldn't be attainable through normal training, however, Banaza just doesn't have 1. And on top of that, his stats are slightly below average for this world, so the summoners start thinking they may have failed again somehow. Banaza can't say he's surprised by the results since he already knew he wasn't particularly special, but they didn't have to rub it in like that. Since he clearly doesn't meet their expectations, he starts asking to be sent back to his original world, but he gets cut off by the fanfare going on in the summoning circle next to him. The people who summon the other guy praise him for having exceptional stats indicative of a true hero, so everyone ditches Banaza and flocks to the side of the new hero to praise him as well. The other guy takes a look at the stats on Banaza's screen, and once he gets a frame of reference for how good his stats truly are, and he immediately lets it go to his head that he is the chosen one. A party is thrown where the king officially appoints the blonde guy as the hero of the kingdom, and while the celebration is going on, Banaza is left on his own. He has never heard of any kingdom called Exiled before, so he wonders if he is really in another world after all. Regardless, his priority right now should be getting himself back to his original world, but that's going to be difficult since when he finally gets to meet with the king, he is told that the gate connecting to his world has been closed, so there's no way they can send him back now. But not to worry, because they plan to compensate him by kicking him over to a plot of land that they don't use so they never have to see him again. Also, the kingdom messed up by summoning him here and not being able to send him back, so they tell him that he is not allowed to tell anyone about what happened here. With that, Banaza was loaded up into a cart in a rough manner and sent on his way to his new residence in the middle of nowhere. Along the way, Banaza tries to start a conversation with the lizard man who was driving the cart, but the lizard man had been told that he wasn't allowed to speak to Banaza at all, so he declines answering any questions. Banaza tries to get him to open up by asking if he has a slave contract with the king, but the lizard man finds the notion preposterous because slavery was abolished here years ago. He may not get paid the best salary, but he's not a slave to anyone. Humans and demi-humans live in peace here, so there's very little discrimination between them. 20 days into the journey, Banaza has arrived at the LVL forest. Once he gets out of the cart, the lizard man hands him a bottomless bag that the king provided him with. It should have enough food and money for him to last a while out here, but before he leaves, the lizard man turns back to him and warns that the demon lord's army is known to be active around this area, so in his personal opinion, Banaza should get out of here as soon as possible if he wants to live. As the lizard man leaves, Banaza is grateful for the warning. Even if he told him to run away, where exactly could he go when he doesn't know anything about this world? He takes a look at the bottomless bag he had received, and thankfully, it works the same way as the ones back in his old world, so he's able to use it. He looks through the items available and pulls out a sword so he can defend himself if he needs to, but although the sword looks impressive, it's still just a piece of junk. Banaza then notices a few slimes approaching, but since in his world, slimes were passive mobs, he didn't think these ones would be any different. He was wrong. The slimes attack him and he is forced to slash through all 3 of them to save himself. However, the cheap sword is already broken from just 3 strikes. Banaza is now unarmed. He gets a notification telling him that his level has increased from 1 to 2, and when he checks his stats, they all change to this weird sideways 8 symbol. But it's not like he could have gotten infinite stats from just killing 3 slimes. He is also shown that he can now access the voice guidance system, so he initializes it and is shown all the spells that he now has access to. But it's a little too much information for him all at once. The system also warns him that the bottomless bag he was given has a monster-attracting spell on it, which is probably why slimes decided to attack him against their normal behavior. That, coupled with the fact that he was only given the cheap sword to defend himself, means the king is trying to get him to die out here. The system tells Banaza that he is able to remove the spells on the bag if he wants, so he does so, and the bag is once again safe to carry around. Now that one problem is solved, he still needs to find a safe place so he can protect himself, but as he was about to enter the forest, the system warned him that the forest is contaminated with dense militium. It's a substance that is produced and dispersed by demons, and it is said to be very harmful to humans if they come into contact with it, so it would be a bad idea to go in there as it is now. The system asks him if he wants to purify the whole forest, and it's actually possible for him to do it, but it will cost him 1/3 of his available magic. Since he is being forced to live here by the kingdom, Banaza thinks he might as well make this place as livable as possible, especially since he has no other use for his magic anyway, so he accepts the terms and a blinding white light is emitted as the whole forest is purified. Banaza doesn't realize the scale of the purification he just did, or what that blinding light was, but he then gets a notification telling him that his level has risen, followed by many more of the same notifications. Meanwhile, over in the castle, the princess is pleading with the king to reconsider his decision regarding Banaza since it is their fault that he couldn't return to his world in the first place. So it's not right to send him to that forest knowing it is an almost guaranteed death sentence. The king doesn't see anything wrong with his actions since he views Banaza as an unworthy piece of trash that was too weak to become their hero. But the discussion is soon interrupted by a messenger, who has come to inform the king that the highest level holy magic of purification has just been used within the kingdom. The king immediately believes it to be the work of the blonde hero since he had set out towards the south to take on the demon lord, but the messenger reports that it couldn't have been him since the purification magic didn't come from the south, but rather the northern Delaviza forest. Back to Banaza, the level up notifications have finally stopped and he is now level 367. But he doesn't know how he got to this point when, to the best of his knowledge, he hasn't killed any monsters yet. He assumes he might just gain experience from the act of using magic, so he turns off his level up notifications because it would be annoying to have to listen to that many notifications over and over. He also checks on his magic levels, and all the magic he had expended for the purification has already replenished, giving him the false impression that his magic levels are really low since they regenerated so quickly. Moving on, he still has to figure out something for his living situation, but he was banned from living in any town, so he doesn't know what to do. The system suggests that he uses some shape-shifting magic to disguise himself so no one can recognize him. Banaza thinks that's a great idea, so the system asks what gender he would like to disguise himself as, so Banaza let his intrusive thoughts take over for a bit and chooses to become a girl, and he's kinda hot. However, after fawning over his body, he starts taking things seriously and transforms into something he can be comfortable with. With his new body, he can now hide in plain sight since no one will recognize him as Banaza, so the system suggests that he use teleportation magic to return to the royal capital. He activates the teleportation magic and is moved to the capital, but since it worked well enough to get him here, he attempts to use it to send him back to his original world, but he has no such luck this time. Since he's going to be stuck here for a while, he's going to need to find a way to make money. And since this world seems fairly similar to his former world, he wonders if there's a guild he can register at. He later arrives at the Adventurers Guild and he registers under the name Fleo to keep his real identity secret. After registering, he goes over to the notice board to check out what quests are available since he needs to make some money, but he doubts that he'll be able to get anything good since he is just a new adventurer. Just then, he notices a girl who is looking for an escort to take her to the Delaviza forest, but with the rumors that the Demon Lord's army is stationed there, no sane adventurer is willing to go there for any amount of money. They tell the girl to just wait until an attack unit is sent up there to clear out the forest so it will be safe again, but the girl remains determined to go there now because her family is in danger, so the adventurers stop interacting with her and push past. Fleo approaches the girl and tells her that he is willing to take her there. And it shouldn't take long at all since he can just teleport straight there. Upon hearing Fleo say he can use teleportation magic, everyone in the guild begins talking about him since teleportation magic is something that only the very best sorcerers can use. Fleo hadn't realized it was such a big deal, but it has already brought him so much attention that he is confronted by a royal knight, Bellarosa, and she doesn't believe he can actually use teleportation, so she thinks Fleo is attempting to kidnap the poor defenseless girl, and she and her team are prepared to cut him down immediately. Fleo really doesn't like where things are going, so he tries to defuse the situation by telling the girls that he isn't a suspicious person. Sure, he may be able to use abnormally high-level magic, and his identity of Fleo hasn't existed until about 10 minutes ago, but he's done nothing wrong. If they really don't trust his intentions, then he offers to have the knight's party come along so they can ensure that the girl won't be harmed in any way. His offer catches them off guard, but they accept and head out into a back alley so they don't draw too much attention. Fleo activates his teleportation spell, and everyone is transported to the Delevisive forest instantly. They are all surprised that Fleo can actually use such powerful magic, so they are convinced that he must be a first-order sorcerer of some kind and are also starting to regret the threats they had made to him earlier. Bellarosa gets down to apologize to Fleo for making rude assumptions about him which were completely baseless, and so do the rest of her teammates. Meanwhile, the girl is confused by the state of the forest since she was sure that it was coated in a thick veil of malicium. But now it's all gone and she can't even sense any magic beasts in the area either. Fleo was about to explain that he used purification magic in the forest, but the system warns him that it could be dangerous to reveal that he can use purification magic when he is speaking to a demon. At the same time, the same girls that were ready to cut Fleo open in defense of the girl have all turned their weapons towards her, stating she is suspicious for wanting to come to this dangerous place. The girl acts scared at first, but once it is clear that the party isn't buying her disguise anymore, she begins to reveal her true form. She is Fenris, the younger sister to the demon General Fengril, and she was initially sent to the human town to learn about them and find someone dumb enough to come back here with her so she could eat them. But now that they know her true identity, she needs them all to die. Fenris begins spreading her malicium, and it is enough to bring everyone to their knees. All except Fleo, who is just tanking the damage. Fenris is surprised that he isn't affected by the malicium, but it doesn't matter to her much since she can just finish him off directly instead. She attacks Fleo, but he manages to dodge out of the way at the last second while carrying Bellarosa. He can't protect everyone and fight at the same time, so he uses teleportation magic to send everyone away and faces Fenris alone. He still doesn't know why he had to end up here, but there's no way he is going to let himself die before he gets the chance to do anything in this world, so he's going to throw every spell the system has available at Fenris. This was the end of episode 1. We will cover the next episode as soon as it's out.